Welcome in to another episode of the In All Kinds Weather Forecast tonight. I am your host, Chris Yanes, alongside my co-host tonight, Dustin Smith, and we're going to be unveiling another edition of the In All Kinds Weather Forecaster model. And Dustin has it here with us tonight. We're going to be previewing that, the new top 25, along with the model's score prediction for the Florida-Tennessee game. And, you know, it was pretty almost dead on last week with the prediction of McNeese. Of course, Dustin prefaced a lot of that with how the model needed to adjust to some of the scores not being exactly in line with the new rule changes of college football and the pace of play. But this week it has adjusted. Dustin's going to let us in on kind of the changes and the tweaks that he has made. So, Dustin, really quick, before we unveil our top 25, give our fans a quick rundown of what they are going to see this week with the new model.
So we have an updated top 25, and then we're also going to provide a score prediction for the Florida-Tennessee game. We're very excited about that. The big thing that we've noticed over the last few weeks of play is teams are not scoring as much as the model would expect. And a big reason why, as we mentioned on the previous podcast, is that the clock progression has changed. Teams are not having as many possessions, and it's very simple math. Less possessions, less points. And so the model is now been adjusted, and hopefully it'll better reflect how teams are scoring now with the updated rule changes.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's something that's definitely affecting the game, and teams are going to have to obviously game plan around it, and models are going to have to be tweaked because of it. So it is an exciting thing for all of us as kind of data nerds and college football fans really do get into this. But let's go ahead and let's share with the fans the model, the model. So if I'm going to get this up here in short order. Dustin, you look at this model this week, it highlights, I think, kind of some changes and some surprises with it. You know, you look at where Alabama is, especially, right? That's one that is, to me, very surprising. So we'll look at this one for the top. There's our top 25. You look at it here. Number one, Georgia, no surprise there. Georgia has, you know, they've struggled with some opening opponents, but they've looked good overall. But then you look at Alabama. Alabama lost to Texas last week, right? But they're now still ranked ahead of Texas, and they're the number 2 team in the model. Why is that, Dustin?
Right. So the big curiosity with Alabama is the quarterback situation. The model looks at Alabama as a team that moving forward, remember, it's a predictive model. It is attempting to predict the outcome of the football season. And in the past, Bama has been resilient in terms of quarterback circumstances like this. So the model actually expects Bama to win the rest of the football games this season. And it expects to lose a very close one to Georgia in the SEC championship game. So as of right now, the model would actually predict Alabama to go 11-1. And that is even including some of the situation that we saw against Texas. And you got to give Texas credit. They're a great team, and they're going to continue to rise. And the one final thing I'll say is this. The model is math-based. And if any of y'all remember high school mathematics, there is something called the equation of a line. In order to create a line, all you need is 3 points. And we're coming into the third week of the season, and we're now going to truly be able to create a line or a trajectory for each team in college football. So while the model is doing a good job at looking at some of the teams, I mean, look at what Miami did to Texas A&M, and they rose even higher. I believe they were 24, 23. Now they're up to 18. You look at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a team that continues to rise because they continue to not only be efficient offensively, but I do like how their defense is looking thus far. Albeit against subpar competition, they've looked pretty good. Same with Georgia. Okay, Georgia's going to be Georgia. You know, they don't have Stetson Bennett, but so far against, again, subpar competition, they've looked good and they've been efficient. Alabama is a team that if they continue to play like they did against Texas, they're going to keep falling. If Texas continues to play like they did against Alabama, they will keep rising. So I'm excited to see how it shakes out. Who knows? Next week we might be coming on here and you might have Texas as the number one or number two team. Well, y'all will have to see and find out.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that's good to provide the fan base that sort of perspective on how all of these come about. But you look at it, the top six are in your model, all in no particular order, are the top six in the AP top 25 right now. Of course, those are voters, those are people. This is a computer. That's a big difference. But to note, consensus wise, these are the top six teams in the country. If you look at most models as well as rankings by people voting, but then that's where I think it kind of starts to differentiate a little bit. USC is one that's in just outside that top six at number 7. They're a top 5 team ranked nationally. Oklahoma is barely ranked in the top 20, yet the model has them at number 8. Mississippi, another team in similar situation, 17th in the AP, but they find themselves in your top 10. Notre Dame, a team that is number 9 in your model, so they're 10 in your model, number 9, so that's another close one with the AP poll. But there's some differences, there's some variances you can see with this, and that is always interesting to see that. But when you get down to number 17, Tennessee, right? That's our opponent this week. We're gonna go ahead and allow you to preview them here in just a moment. But in the AP poll, they're ranked number 11. In this ranking, they're ranked 17th. Give the fans an idea of why there is a little bit of a discrepancy with a team like Tennessee in your model.
To be frank, thus far, Tennessee has not looked good. They've been subpar. They played a team. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. We don't have our resident pronunciator and Neil with us right now, but Austin Pay, something like that. And without getting into too much detail in that game, Tennessee had trouble throwing the football, and you have to be efficient when it comes to throwing the football in the SEC. And so I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee continues to drop. Now, another thing you don't notice in that top 25 is you don't see Florida. So I have the spreadsheet in front of me. Florida currently sits at number 33 in the nation in terms of their power rank. So certainly Tennessee is ranked ahead of Florida, but it's actually pretty close. Tennessee is only power ranked by about 5 points in a neutral field. Now, keep in mind that the Swamp is not a neutral field. Ben Hill Griffin Stadium is not a neutral field. So it's going to be a night game, and some of the secret sauce behind my model is we do value home field advantage, and not all home field advantages are treated the same. We look at a night game in the Swamp as arguably the premier home field advantage in college football. Also, there's a lot on the line. Now, if this was later in the season and God forbid, Florida doesn't have a winning record and they're playing FSU, the home field advantage is going to be big time. But if FSU is playing for the national championship and Florida doesn't really have anything to play for, Florida would still have a home field advantage in that game in terms of the score prediction. But in the same respect, it's probably not going to be the same type of number that we're going to see in just a few minutes with the score prediction for Tennessee. Now, the big thing that I'm very curious to see from the Florida Gators when it comes to this Tennessee matchup, and I'll just say it right off the bat, I really want to see Florida throw the ball down the field and be more creative in the pass game. And also, I look for Florida to showcase some tempo. This Tennessee defense, they're good, they're talented, it's an SEC defense, but they're suspect. They can be beat. But if you want to beat Tennessee, you have to be creative. Okay? I'm going to tell you straight off the bat, Tennessee's game plan is going to be stop the run. That's what Utah did, and Utah won the game. They're very successful. Looking at the tape from McNeese, Florida ran and ran and ran. There's no secret. Napier is a brilliant tactician in terms of the run game. But I have yet to see thus far this season a a scheme come together in the. I mean, I know we threw the ball decent against Utah, although we couldn't put in the end zone, which is very important. I know obviously we had a couple good plays in the air. Mertz was incredibly efficient against McNeese, but I really, really need to see some creativity in the pass game against Tennessee because that's going to be the key to victory. In fact, a padlock stat that I'm going to put out is I want to see Florida score 2 passing touchdowns and have 0 interceptions. If Florida throws an interception, then you're going to see that number increase to 3. So we need to be +2 in the ratio between touchdowns through the air and interceptions. So hopefully I'm right, and we'll see with the score prediction when it comes to the model.
All right. Well, let's get to that. Let's go ahead. Let's share the excuse me, the score prediction here. And bear with me for a second. Thought I had it up. And here we go. All right. So we've got the score prediction here, as you can see it. 27-23. That's it. I mean, Dustin, it's going to be a nail biter. Neil and I predicted a close game. Neil predicted Tennessee to win 31-24. I predicted a 4-point spread as well for the Gators, 21-17. The model and Dustin's prediction has the Gators winning 27-23, which for those Gator fans that remember was the same score of the Jabbar Gaffney catch in the end zone in the year 2000 on the road, 27-23. Will we see it again on Saturday? So this was definitely a good breakdown. Dustin, thanks for coming on and breaking down the score for this game, the model, and the keys to victory. I like the padlock stat of if we can, get that 2 touchdowns, it's going to be all the difference on Saturday night. So continue to watch it all kinds of weather forecasts. Make sure to like the show below, leave us a comment or review on Dustin's analysis, and share it with your friends and let them know that we're one of the only podcasts out there that actually provides this for its fans on a week-to-week basis. So once again, Dustin, thanks for coming on. We look forward to hopefully the model once again being correct, recapping it next week, and celebrating a Gator victory on Saturday night. For the In All Kinds Weather Forecast, I'm your host, Chris Yanes, alongside my co-host, Dustin Smith. Have a great rest of your day, and go Gators.
Go Gators.